This is a special presentation from News Channel Nebraska.
Wait not to fall over on me.
And welcome to downtown Kearney. Brandon Axman and Josh Sykes are with you for the coverage, Josh, of the 35th annual Kearney Cruise Night Parade. We are located at 24th and Central Avenue in downtown Kearney, and are we excited about what we have in store over the next hour?
Yeah, so it's going to be tremendous. We're going to see around 400 classic and collectible special interest type cars. People showing off what they drive from ages probably 16 to 80. And it's going to be really interesting what we see. It'll be muscle cars, Model A's, Model T's, classic fire trucks, everything in between. It's going to be a pretty tremendous event. A lot of people are starting to line up, getting ready to roll. It's a pretty special event, our 35th year, 35 years of Cruise Night. It started off as a one-day event with a dance at the end of it, and now we're 6 days and or evenings of events, and it's pretty exciting.
Well, you talk about what Cruise Night means and the growth that you've seen. This is something that, helps people relive the good old days. And, you being a huge car enthusiast, what kind of emotions do you feel when you get to see some of these classic cars from decades and even centuries past?
I've grown up around them. My grandfather, my father, all of us have been car enthusiasts, and so I see a vehicle that it's like my grandpa had one of these, and all the flood of memories. And I don't know if the materials the vehicles were made of and the interior were different back then, but even the odor of the vehicles can bring back memories. My dad, he sees vehicles, he talks about what his grandfather had. We have people come up to us, literally all day long. I used to have one of these, exactly the same, only mine was yellow. It's the typical, but all of the memories that they have, all of the stories they tell us, it's just exciting to see.
And you mentioned the fact that this event started as a one-day event when this was in the very infancy of its beginnings. It's now 6 days, and there's been stuff happening in Kearney all week. There's still more to come tonight. And, one thing we're going to see shortly here, Wednesday, Cruise Night, or a parade rather, went around town to all of the senior living facilities, which is something that's a pretty special thing. And from your perspective, what does that say when you talk about the growth and all of the different events that kind of culminate into Saturday and the weekends partakings as well?
It's really interesting. Let's talk about that nursing and assisted living home tour for a second. We had 250 plus cars at that event, and when you pull into those nursing home and assisted living homes, and you see the people's faces light up, and the memories, the flood of memories that come to them, and the smiles, and it's not every vehicle, but when they do see one that it brings back something, there's no question about it, because they just light up. They get excited about it. People line the streets and the communities. They line the parks that we're going to go around. It's tremendous.
Well, you mentioned those smiles. Michael Shively, our Central Nebraska Bureau Chief for News Channel Nebraska, was there. Let's take a look at what happened earlier this week in Kearney.
There's nothing that gets Hank Yenser more revved up than seeing a well-kept classic car.
No Dodge truck.
And he saw plenty of them during Wednesday's Cruise Night event in Kearney.
What's fun about it is that everything you see is old. It's old and been redone or, renewed, repainted, new motors, whatever.
The classic car tour makes stops at every senior living facility in town, including Yenser's home, Kinship Point. John McCammond and his wife Shirley moved in recently and watched for the first time.
It's real interesting. Nice to see. I had no idea there were this many cars, old, new, whatever, in Kearney. No idea at all.
The number of vehicles totaled in the hundreds, the number of smiles at facilities across town, countless. But you could count more than a few signs at Good Samaritan St. John's. Regardless of the vantage point, the tour resonates deeply with longtime car enthusiasts.
All these Corvettes.
People like Yenser, who used to own a 32 Coupe.
We pulled the car out of a junkyard. Took it all apart, started with the chassis, and built around that car. Well, the thing of it is, they have to love it to do it. They have to have the time to do it. It takes quite a long time to build it like he wants it. It's his idea.
McCammon gets it too. He owns a '66 Ford Mustang. He says there's no doubt the idea to include senior living facilities in Kearney's flagship summer event is a good one.
Very nice thing for them to do. And not only nice for the community, nice for the old cars, but also nice for the old people.
In Kearney, Michael Shively, News Channel, Nebraska.
Well, Josh, I think that package pretty well sums up, the impact of being able to spread the love of what cars can bring into joy and taking it to senior assisted living facilities. I mean, what an event.
It's tremendous. I've been participating with it for several years now. It's really fun to see the faces light up. It's probably one of the most enjoyable things I do throughout all of our series of events.
Well, as you can see, the national anthem wrapped up. The parade starts just about 3 or 4 blocks away from where we are, and it's beginning to make its way towards us here on Central Ave. That shot you saw earlier, that was the Model A that we were referencing. And you're pretty close to that now, I understand, that Model A specifically.
That specific Model A, I am very close. One of the events that we have is Rusty Reynolds performs a classic and collectible car auction for us on Friday evening at the fairgrounds. And my father bought that car last night. He's been wanting one forever. That one apparently sang to him, and he took it home. And I have not let it out of, I haven't let the keys out of my possession yet. So I'm the one driving it right now.
Top speed,
Oh,
what are we thinking?
I'm scared to go fast with it. I'll break Dad's car and he'll ground me.
And we don't want that. And the Model A historical context, was that before the T or
No, it was
after
a T
the T?
first,
Okay.
and then it was a Model A. That's a 1931, so it's kind of at the height of the Depression. That is a Roadster with a rumble seat. They had a flathead 4-cylinder, 3-speed manual. Probably high-tech at the time, but they were supposed to be the everyday man's car. And we sure are excited to have that in the family now.
Well, we have the police escort coming down in the color guard as well. So this is officially the kickoff of the parade, the 2022 Kearney Cruise Night Parade, live on News Channel Nebraska here in downtown Kearney. We are located right in front of the Mona, 24th and Central Ave. And now's the time where our viewers and parade goers get to sit back, relax, and enjoy all the classic cars coming our way. What do you got here leading things off, Josh?
So we have Brad Kearney driving a 57 Chevy Bel Air ragtop with a Grand Marshal, Jay Lewis. Jay has been a feature in the classic and collectible car world in our community for many, many years. And of course, we have our volunteer fire departments, classic trucks. Hopefully that we don't have to get those out for any other purpose today than a parade.
What year, roughly, are these classic fire trucks we're looking at? Any idea? You had 1, 2, 3. Time frame on these guys when they were made?
We're probably talking late 40s on that Mack right there. This Jeep that's coming up right now, this is a 1952. This would be representative of a Jeep that would have been in the Korean War, along with the trailer that would have been made by the Bantam Motor Company for service. And of course we have a Humvee that follows. And we have our Shriners following them, and I don't know how those guys don't knock each other over regularly, but they haven't yet that I've seen.
That's what you would classify as a moped? Is that what we call those things?
I guess
Scooters?
it's some type of step-through small motorcycle. I don't know the brand, but those guys are pretty impressive. I don't know how often they practice, but I would imagine they have to do it a lot.
All right, here we go. Going into circle formation here. Shriners, obviously.
Yep.
I mean, doing great things here. The Shrine Bowl is something also that takes place in Kearney. They're a very great presence in this community.
And you know, the Shriners are a tremendous organization. My wife is actually one of the children that benefited from the Shriners Hospital and the Shriners organization when she was a youth. And a lot of respect for these guys, what they do, and obviously they have a good time with what they're doing.
For those unaware, they basically are able to take care of children, cover all medical costs regardless of families' abilities to pay for that. And we're getting a salute from the Shriners right here at the parade. And we appreciate that very much.
We have the Kearney Community Band now. These guys love this parade, love this parade, and they will probably get through the end of the parade, and they'll have Steve, the driver, they'll have him drive them around and back through the parade, and last year they went through the parade 3 times.
All right.
So it's hard to convince them to stop. They just love what they're doing.
Got the trombone, saxophone, snare drum on there. And who's following behind? It's another trailer being pulled by a pickup. And there's another very good look at the band right there.
Right. Behind them, we have a Kearney area barbershopper, 1733 chorus. Fran Wilson, he was our chorus high school teacher. He's been involved with barbershoppers since I can remember. And that's been at least 2 or 3 years. So we're excited to do this for us, and we're excited to have them in the parade again this year.
Well, this is something that hits home specifically for me. I was in an all-male a cappella group back in my college days, so these guys got some pipes on them. The 1733 Kearney area barbershop chorus and Corvette, yes?
It's a Corvette.
All
bright
right.
blue Corvette. And we have a Corvettes ranging from the late 50s up to a brand new Corvette in the show. We'll probably have them throughout the parade. And then we have, I love the creativity of a lot of people because of the things that they'll put together. They'll find a cab and make something fun out of it. And you know, to be a car enthusiast, you don't necessarily have to have a Model A or a muscle car. You just have to be an enthusiast about things with tires and engines, and it's fun to see what people do.
Now, I mean, you're very close to this, but from your perspective, what is it that creates a car enthusiast? What is it about automobiles that draws people in to pick this up as a lifetime hobby?
You know, I assume for everybody it's probably something a little bit different. Memories, whether they were brought up in the hobby. Maybe at one point they had a friend that was in the hobby, but personally for me, it's a lot of memories. The things that my father and my grandfather, that we built and that we drove. I brought my 3 oldest children home in a 64 Impala SS ragtop from the hospital. And my children are already bringing cars home for them to fix up. So part of it's how you're brought up. Part of it is how you feel when you drive a classic car. A new car is great, and there's obviously nothing against them. They're wonderful. But when you're driving a classic car, the feel in the steering wheel, you're very much feeling every bump and every notch in the road. You feel the whine of the engine. You feel the howl of the transmission. Your hands on the stick shift, you can feel it. And the car speaks to you. And it's almost like the car has a personality. And a lot of guys name their vehicles, and gals. I don't want to be that person. I just, the people that have their cars, they have a connection to them, and it doesn't matter if it's a Volvo or a Chevelle. I mean, people, they love what they drive. I don't know how to put it into words other than that.
Well, you mentioned names. You name any of your cars? Your kids named any of them?
We have a 52 Suburban that we call One Old Sub, and we have an old CJ that's lifted and handles terribly, and that all my buddies call the Critter.
One Old Sub, what comes from that? What's the genesis of that one?
It's a 1952 Chevy Suburban, therefore it is One Old Suburban.
We're getting candy thrown at us as well. Another fun part of this parade for all the the children involved. They get suckers being tossed out, and on
So
top
the
of the
vehicle
show.
coming to us right now, that's a Factory 5 Roadster. That car is owned by Blueprint Engines, has a Blueprint 306 in it. It's being driven by Ed and Ashley Bostrom, and Ava's in there too. And they're part of the family that owns Blueprint Engines. This pickup that follows has a Blueprint 383 in it. That kid bought that vehicle and has done every bit of work to it himself. It started life as a 6-cylinder car, and he's made it kind of a little hot rod. He has his own lawn mowing service that he drives that thing everywhere hauling lawnmowers on.
So he's getting good use out of it.
What's that?
So he's getting good use out of it is what you're saying.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's a lot of guys and a lot of people, their hobby has to be their daily driver just because of where they're at in life. So here we have a 66 Chevy Super Sport. Of course, we have a Firebird. We have a Ford that the guy does not want to get stuck wherever he goes, and so he's making a statement with that.
Do we know how tall those wheels are, or how high up? What's the terminology we're seeing here?
So it's lifted. There is some tremendous, the differentials, everything. This would be very similar to what Bigfoot would have started life as, and I'm curious how they get in it.
It has to be a ladder.
Yeah, you
My
think you'd have to be
gosh.
careful getting back out.
Well, then the complete opposite of that Bigfoot truck falling right behind. I like that one.
I forget what that's a model of. I think it's a Corvair, but that kid, he's had that here a few years. He just loves his car. I'm really anxious to see what he does when he becomes old enough to own a real car. We've got a 1950 Willys Jeepster, same vehicle the same company that made the Army Jeeps back in World War II and during the Korean War, of course.
This is a newer one.
It is. So that would be a Subaru. Again, we're in our organization, we don't necessarily say if it's not a Model A, you can't have it in the club. We want car enthusiasts, and we don't necessarily have to have the same idea of what a cool car is. We want what people think are cool, because that's how our hobby's going to grow. I mean, back in the 50s, the kids building Model A street rods, and their dads drove 55 Chevys. Well, then you go to the 70s, and the kids were building 55 Chevys, and their dads drove Chevelles. And as the years progress, so do the cars. And so if you try to put a limit on what that is, you're putting a box on people unfairly.
Well, glad you're with us here on News Channel Nebraska. Brandon Axman alongside Josh Sykes with the Central Nebraska Auto Club. Josh, we're going to switch you out momentarily because we have the Kearney mayor here as well, Stan Klaus. So we're going to talk to Stan a little bit about what's going on, and we'll have Josh joining us again shortly. But you are watching the 2022 Kearney Cruise Night Parade on News Channel Nebraska. We're live from 24th and Central Avenue here in downtown Kearney as classic cars are making their way. So Stan, wave to everybody at home. Glad you are with us. This is something that you become accustomed to as the mayor, but when you talk about not only this parade specifically, but the week and what Kearney Cruise Night does for the city, can you kind of put it into words?
Yeah, this is one of those events. It's a signature event for Kearney. It started out, it's just a 1 or 2 night deal, and now it's a week-long celebration, and it brings a lot of people to town. People get out and show their cars. It brings back a lot of memories for a lot of people, and really it's just a lot of fun. There's so many different things. Old movies. They've got theater or productions down at the high school, show and shines, just all kinds of stuff, and it's just a lot of fun cruise week that we have in Kearney.
I mean, and people come from well outside Kearney, like you mentioned, to take part in this. What does this say about the town and the community that you have a group in Central Nebraska Auto Club and, everyone working together to put something like this on?
Well, this does take a lot of folks working together, and it doesn't just happen in a week or two. They plan on this months in advance. And we work with the Kearney Police Department, with the Sanitation Department, with many of the shops and business owners up and down Central Avenue and in the community. They do their promotions. The Eagles Club, you know, they have their beer garden open for dinner, things like that. So it's really, and they had, I think, you know, last night they closed off one of the streets in town. They had a little street dance, music and things like that. So it's a lot of people working together to pull this together. Kearney is, we have a great reputation for hospitality. With our convention and tourism business that we have, the university, a lot of energy in our community, and this is just something that really adds to the energy throughout the summer.
Well, when you also, I mean, you interact with tons of people here, as we're getting waves from our radio partners, 98.9 The Vibe. You know, what is, you know, you have any sort of stories that stick out to you when you're interacting with local citizens and residents about what they enjoy most about this week?
I think the most is just looking at the cars, and some of them you can see in the parade, and then tonight when they're going around, you know, they call them getting crazy. The rookies are out tonight, you know, but we joke about that. But they have a lot of fun with some of their old beaters. That, you know, they're never going to fix them up, and they're just out. It gives them an opportunity to just get out and drive them around to some really nice classic cars that are worth a lot of money. So it's just a lot of fun watching all this, and there's something in it for everybody.
And for you specifically, not to put you on the spot, but do you have any sort of connection or memory, or are you a car enthusiast in your own right? What's your kind of?
You know, I'm getting up there at that age now that I see a lot of these, and I remember when I had that one, or I remember my buddies had this one, and you know, so it's just the wide range. And but I think the older I get, the more I respect how much money is put into some of these to restore them. Some of these folks put a lot of money into it. Me, I take it into the shop to have somebody put air in my tire. So that's how talented I am at it. But it's fun. It's just a fun, good, healthy fun. And you know, we put a lot into it as far as from the safety side too. You know, controlling the alcohol and the partying and things like that. And so we've made it a much safer event than what it had been in previous years. And it's just good, clean fun.
Kearney Mayor Stan Klaus with us here on News Channel Nebraska, joining us for the 2022 Kearney Cruise Night Parade. Stan, obviously this is the main show of the summer, but you know, Kearney, bigger picture, any other big things coming up this summer, things that people should be aware of?
Well, you know, we have the Whitewater Trail. We see a lot of people doing a little kayaking on that. And then we have our Crane River Theater that does their summer promotions. And then, of course, in another month, we've got university students coming back in. And when they get into town, you know, we just have all kinds of fun activities with fall classes starting with in conjunction with the university. So this is just, you know, summer, middle of summer. And we're just going to keep coasting and having fun.
Stan, know you're a very busy person. Appreciate you taking the time and stopping by here tonight.
Thank you, and appreciate you guys coming to town and doing this.
It's our pleasure. That is Kearney Mayor Stan Klaus taking some time to talk about Kearney Cruise Night, as we'll get Josh back in here. And keep watching the cars come on down. We are very happy you're with us. We're getting some revs going on now, which is a precursor, Josh. There's a burnout contest, yes, later tonight that people will be able to check out.
That's correct. Graham Tire Company will be having a burnout contest tonight. That's another event that's just grown and grown and grown. In fact, tonight this is the first year they're gonna have a live band at the event too. So yeah, it's gonna be an exciting event.
And in addition, you know, again, with a testament to this growing Kearney Cruise Night, you have the burnout, and there's drag strip either racing or some sort of...
At the Kearney Raceway Park, which is west of Kearney, there is drag racing tonight. There will be drag racing tomorrow, all day out there. And then also tomorrow, we will be having a show and shine at the Classic Car Collection, which is in the same building that Cabela's is in Western Kearney. And that's Coach McCann and the UNK wrestlers host that event. There'll be a barbecue. There will be, that's the only judged event we have the entire week. He has trophies out, People's Choice type thing. And then for every entry into the car show, they get a free pass to go into the Classic Car Collection. And if you've not been out to the Classic Car Collection, you're missing a hidden gem inside of Kearney. There are over 200 cars out there. We're not talking just Fords and Chevys. We're talking LaSalle's, Pages, Hudson's. People don't realize there were well over 2,000 automotive manufacturers in the United States. And so, I mean, people think, oh, I saw a Studebaker, that's pretty rare. Yeah, you don't see a lot of Studebakers. You should go out to the car collection because there's cars out there you've never heard of the manufacturer.
You said 12,000 different manufacturers. That
2,000.
2,000. I was going to say, that's still a lot, though.
Yes.
Well, and okay, so to not put you entirely on the spot, but do you have a specific, model or, brand or manufacturer that's yours? And if so, why? And how do you determine or decide, or how does one come to that decision?
I think a lot of it depends on what you grew up around and what your dad liked and what you learned and what your friends liked. I know a lot of people that are big Mopar fans. Myself, we've got a Jeep. We've got some Ford products. I'm a sucker for an early 60s Impala. And I know everybody, really likes them, but I grew up around them. My dad and I have restored several of them. I currently own a 63. I've had a 64 Ragtop Super Sport. I've had a 63 SS Ragtop. And I've helped my dad with several of them, everything from 58s, 59s up through the 66 Impalas. I've even done some work on 1970 Impalas, and I still got a big kick out of it. I don't know why, they sing to me.
Well, it's interesting that everyone has their story, and so you pretty well depicted it. That's the nostalgia and what's brought everyone out here tonight to look at these cars, and people are getting excited out here, getting the engines revving, but you see a car, it brings back the memory, and you kind of draw that connection to times past.
That's right. And it is fun. I mean, I talk about how in the nursing home tour people's eyes light up, but I'm probably no different. My eyes light up pretty good when I see something I like too, so I don't get to hide that very well.
Seeing some newer Corvettes and a Mustang crossing our way here on News Channel Nebraska.
Right. That blue car is an Olds 442 convertible, early 70s. Oldsmobile, they were known for having like the nice luxury cars that Grandpa drove, and when the muscle car craze started going, they weren't about to be left behind, and so they came out with a 442. Originally it stood for 4-barrel, 4-speed dual exhaust, and then it became 400 4-speed dual exhaust, and then it just became a 442. But Oldsmobile wasn't about to be left out, and some of those 442s were pretty impressive cars. Good performance out of them. We've got a 67 Camaro right there. Easy to tell a 67 versus the other late 60s Camaros because they're the only one with wing windows.
And just, it fascinates me being able to acquire that knowledge to be able to say, yep, that's a 67 or that's a 52 just because of the familiarity with knowing the differences. And that's just something that comes with time and being around it.
Yeah, I grew up doing this, and so, it's funny. I think it used to frustrate the teachers that I had because they try to have me memorize and report on whatever book, but if you put the specs of a car in front of me, I still remember that stuff. So I suppose it's whatever inspires you, and I guess I just don't know how else it sticks, but that's what worked for me. I can remember a lot of things like that.
And to that point, obviously a lot has changed when you're seeing some of the Model A's, T's, and these 50s and 60s cars compared to the newer. Mm-hmm. But from an industry standard, can you go into what has changed in terms of manufacturing and the making of a car, and then also working on a modern day car compared to some of these classics?
A lot of the people I speak to say, the modern cars, they couldn't hold a candle against some of the old muscle cars, and I would challenge them to go drive a new Challenger or a new Camaro because they're going to be dumbfounded what the technology has been able to produce in a new muscle car. With traction control, the fuel injection, they don't necessarily have the same feel an old muscle car has. I've driven both. An old muscle car, you better be paying attention to what you're doing, because if you get on it too hard, you're going to be sideways in a ditch. Whereas some of the new muscle cars with the traction control and the stability that they have, they don't necessarily feel the same, but in a drag race, that a guy with the Chevelle is probably going to be embarrassed. And that's not the point, though. I mean, the technology, the safety is so much more improved. The efficiency is so much more improved. And I love the styles of the new Mustangs, the new Camaros and the Challengers. I think they really were able to capture the feel of the muscle car era when they created those. And there's a lot of new Challengers that have just gone by, and they're awesome. And if you park that next to a 70 Challenger, I mean, you definitely see where they got their styling cues and the roots for those cars. And if you drove them both, I think that you would appreciate the traction control and the air conditioning and the power steering and all of the amenities that the newer cars have. And truth be told, though, they don't feel the same as a classic muscle car when you have to be paying attention to what you're doing and you can feel the road. This is the second pass for our Kearney community band, and I guarantee we're going to see them one more time.
You know, and I'm all right with that. They are jamming out.
Playing the Husker fight song.
And again, so we set the stage at the start of the broadcast, but you know, people from across the state may be tuning in at different times. So we are in downtown Kearney. This is the 2022 Kearney Cruise Night Parade on News Channel Nebraska. Brandon Axement alongside Josh Sykes with the Central Nebraska Auto Club. And in case more people have tuned in, Josh set the stage on what we're seeing, the amount of cars, what's happening, and why here in downtown Kearney.
So after the show and shine downtown the Bricks on Saturday, we line up and we start a parade. We had over 400 cars, closer to 500 cars at the show and shine. Hopefully all of those got in line for the parade. We will see, and I hope they can hear me over some of the dragsters that are coming down the line now. That's the one that's being really vocal right now is a good friend of ours, and he's not shy about what he's driving. But we're going to see. Oh wow!
That's the Grinch. For anyone who couldn't see, it has
the Grinch has been heard. We're going to see everything here from Model Ts, Model As, up to modern muscle cars, drag cars, classic fire trucks, and then everybody from 16 to 80 driving whatever trips their trigger on as far as what they're driving. And it might be the end of the parade. Hopefully the heat hasn't taken out too many cars.
Well, Buffalo County Sheriff's pickup just pulling on through. If there's a way to end it, I think with the Grinch, you know, sharing his vocal cords to everyone, I think that's a good way to go out on a bang.
I agree with you. When you get to hear horsepower at the end of a car event, there's nothing wrong with that.
Any idea how many? How much horsepower?
Not a clue on that. It would be a complete guess if I said a number.
Well, this has certainly been a fun time in downtown Kearney, the 2022 Kearney Cruise Night Parade. Again, one more time, Brandon Axement alongside Josh Sykes. Josh, for never having done this before, at least with us specifically, I think you passed the test.
Well, thank you.
We got to see a lot of great cars, and for those still in Kearney and in the Kearney area, feel free to come out. There's a lot more events happening tonight when you talk about the burnout contest, the drag strip, and you mentioned the show and shine tomorrow, but maybe one more time, a preview of what people in the area could still come and see throughout the rest of this weekend.
So tonight there will be a burnout competition at Graham Tire. They do have live music. And then tomorrow, and of course the drag racing at the drag strips tonight still. Tomorrow there will be drag racing going on at the strip, which is west of Kearney, and right on Highway 30 there. Watch for the signs. And then also at the Classic Car Collection, which is the same building as Cabela's, They have the UNK wrestling team hosts a show and shine in conjunction with the Classic Car Collection. It's the only judged event of the entire week, and there'll be several cars there. I encourage people to go out there. Every entry would get a free pass to get into the Classic Car Collection, and again, if you've not been in the Classic Car Collection, you're missing out. That's a tremendous venue. Some of the things that you're going to be able to see out there, you probably aren't going to get to see anywhere else. There's some extremely rare stuff there. Then also Cabela's, in correlation with that event, is having a kiddie fun day. They're going to have inflatables and some activities for the kids right there on the same area. And then the coach and Coach McCann and the wrestling team are doing hamburgers and hot dogs for people. So there'll be food out there served. And then, yeah, that's kind of wraps up the event. It's been a very full week. I've been excited to be a part of it, and I'm probably getting about 3 hours of sleep at night. So probably tomorrow after that, I might go take a nap.
I was going to say, you should add maybe 1 or 2 more things for people to do. You're kind of short.
You know
on
what?
Events.
Every year we look at what can we do next, what can we add, what would the community benefit from, what would the people like to see, what would the car enthusiasts like to do. Every year the events grow. Yeah, and every year we get so many thanks from people in the community for putting the event on. We'll have people from several states here this week. I've seen Wyoming. I've seen places from Wisconsin, people that came for this event. And so I can't speak loudly enough about the community support that we have for this, the attendance that we have, and just the car enthusiasts bringing the cars out. It's just a lot of fun.
Well, Josh, we appreciate the time, and we're looking forward to doing this again next year.
Sounds great. Thank you for allowing us to be here.
Josh Sykes with the Central Nebraska Auto Club. They are the people that put on all of Cruise Night here in Kearney. And again, a celebration of the 35th annual Kearney Cruise Night all week and throughout the remainder of this weekend in Kearney. If you haven't got enough of your fix at Kearney Cruise Night, you can tune in to 98.9 The Vibe. They are doing their live remote still until 6 o'clock, where they're playing classic songs to go along with the atmosphere that we have in downtown Kearney. As for us, that will wrap up our live coverage of the 2022 Kearney Cruise Night Parade. Shout out to Connor Luby as well as Will Ryan in the truck setting up this event. Also our terrific camera operators bringing you the great shots of everything we showed you here today. That does it here from downtown Kearney. We will see you next time on News Channel Nebraska.
We now join regular programming